Bonjour YouTube, c'est parti, c'est la deuxième partie de Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe édition, qui est donc la version vraiment 1.5 complète de Stanley Parable, un jeu auquel j'ai déjà joué il y a 4 ans environ. L'année dernière, la dernière fois nous avons fait la première heure du jeu, on a joué vraiment 1 heure pile et on a eu le temps de faire déjà 3 fins, je crois. Oui, je crois que c'est ça, on a fait 3 fins, sachant qu'on a eu la fameuse fin avec le bouton skip qui était très drôle. J'ai très envie de le continuer, c'est parti. Entrez-le. Alors attends, je vais mettre tout de suite la capture de jeu. C'est un jeu qui n'est pas trop gourmand en plus. Alors, l'heure qu'il est, eh bien il est midi 10. Non, attends, 10 ? Il est midi 10 totalement, ouais. Let's go. Ah. Avant de commencer, est-ce que je peux dire quelque chose? Ouais. Merci d'avoir vraiment réglé l'heure les 2 fois où vous avez lancé le jeu, d'accord? Tant de gens ne prennent pas cette étape au sérieux, ils laissent l'heure régler sur midi et basta. Mais vous avez pris le temps d'indiquer l'heure et je vous en suis reconnaissant. Ok. Je sais ainsi que vous vous souciez de votre expérience, votre attention est focalisée sur le jeu. D'ailleurs, je n'ai aucun moyen de vérifier si l'heure que vous avez entrée est correcte. Je vais vous dire, nous allons passer un marché. Puisque vous faites preuve de tellement de bonne volonté, la prochaine fois que vous lancerez le jeu et verrez cet écran, vous n'aurez qu'à saisir votre heure préférée. J'ai pas vraiment d'heure préférée, moi. Allez-y, choisissez l'heure que vous voulez, même si ce n'est pas la bonne heure, vous l'avez bien mérité. Sur ce, je vous laisse accéder au jeu. C'est ça, ça n'a pas commencé, le 4e mur est déjà explosé. C'est exactement ça. Vous jouez, mais j'aime bien ça, vous jouez à Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, la parabole de Stanley. Salut Kion. Eh bien, c'est parti, nous allons donc continuer. Donc là, on a fait 3 fins. Bon, on verra, écoutez, combien est-ce qu'on réussira à faire.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered
C'est juste la courte intro pour vous resituer le contexte.
every moment that the orders came in.
Pour les personnes qui n'ont pas vu le let's play la dernière fois.
This job. And Stanley was happy.
And Stanley was
And then
happy.
one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour.
Merci beaucoup Calidion pour le follow. Damagio Flops également. Bienvenue Aether.
For him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Et voilà, c'est ça. Ah oui d'accord, succès déverrouillé, heureux de vous revoir. Ok, allez, c'est reparti. Eh bien, ah, marche pas. Ah merde, attends. Mais attends, j'ai quand même pas fait de nouvelle partie. J'ai bien fait continuer, non? Ah non, c'est forcément commencer le jeu. Ah, j'espère que ça a bien sauvegardé la dernière fois quand même. Bizarre, bizarre. Bah si, cette QSD. Ah. Pourquoi ça marche pas? Ah si, c'est bon. La dernière fois, on a fini, on a eu 3 fins différentes, ouais.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Normalement, voilà. Ah, voilà, c'est ça. Un nouveau contenu. Voilà, donc c'est ça. Cette fois, c'est bon. Mais d'ailleurs, je suis en train de me dire, est-ce qu'on se ferait pas une fin classique avant de refaire le nouveau contenu? C'est un bug connu. Ok, d'accord. Peut-être on se referait... vas-y, on se refait une fin classique. Je vous ai jamais montré de toute façon la fin où on fait vraiment exactement ce que dit la voix off.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va faire ça pour commencer.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the
C'est lui qui a
boss's
l'aide complète.
desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct...
Le coup de bol, une chance sur 9999.
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ah oui. Je t'ai pas répondu, Kion. Tu m'as demandé comment j'allais. Ça va pas trop mal, Kion. Je te remercie d'avoir posé la question. J'ai beaucoup de choses à faire cette semaine, mais j'en suis plutôt contente. Cet après-midi, j'ai un rendez-vous avec ma psy. J'ai pas mal de choses à lui dire. Voilà, on continue le jeu. Salut Tamo Jikato.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Donc là, ce qu'on est en train de faire, c'est vraiment la première fin, la plus classique,
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that
que je vous ai
read
pas montré la dernière fois.
Control Facility.
Voilà, c'est ça. Mind Control Facility. Ou sinon, on peut encore s'échapper. Donc là, autant vous dire que là, il y a 2 fins qui sont possibles. Mais on va vraiment faire ce que le jeu nous dit de faire.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Nous, notre bureau, c'est lequel déjà? Ah, pirate. Tiens, là-haut, c'est écrit. C'est le 427, notre bureau, je crois, non? C'est le numéro combien? Je crois que c'est 427. Donc, du coup, ça doit être celui-là. Celui qui est en plein milieu, là. Ouais, ça ressemble un peu à ça, ouais. 427, ouais. Ah, ils auraient pu mettre un truc spécial dessus, je sais pas.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Un run dure combien de temps sur ce jeu? Bah, il y a des fins qui sont déclenchables en quelques minutes seulement. Certaines autres, ça peut monter à 30 ou 45 minutes.
Couldn't accept it. His own life.
Ça dépend à quelle rapidité tu prends des décisions en fait.
Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
C'est le cerveau. Ah oui, cérébro, oui, ça ressemble un peu.
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation.
Ah putain, oui, je me souviens de cette salle. Oh, j'avais tellement flippé la première fois.
Or sad, or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
Il y a une fin qui prend 4 heures, ah ouais.
The cold reality of his past began to sink in. Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Quoi ici? Ah oui, il y a les boutons. Ah oui, c'est ça, il faut que je les appuie, c'est ça? C'est dans l'ordre ou dans l'ordre inversé? Ah ouais. Je me souvenais de cette histoire de boutons. Donc le 5 est là, là il y a le 3. Le 1 est là, ok. 1, 2... 3. Le 4, il doit être là-haut, je suppose. Putain, je vois vraiment rien par contre. Attends, je vais remonter la luminosité. Ah bah tiens, je vais augmenter un peu la taille aussi. Afficher les noms d'objets. Ouais. Vidéo peut-être. Ah, on peut pas... On peut pas mettre la... Générale peut-être? Opacité, non. C'est bizarre, on peut pas mettre plus de luminosité, c'est bizarre. Ok, bon, tant pis. C'est con parce qu'on voit vraiment rien. Enfin, je sais pas comment c'est sur le stream, mais moi je vois vraiment quasiment rien. Genre là, l'entrée de l'escalier, tu vois, il est où? Là? Ah, on peut pas y aller. Un peu merdique, hein. En fait, au tout début du jeu, on m'avait demandé de le régler, mais... Le problème, c'est que le bouton 4, je suppose qu'il est là-haut. Ouais, c'est un peu chiant. Bah du coup, je sais pas trop quoi faire. C'est peut-être que dans le menu principal.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Y a pas la passerelle qui mène vers l'extérieur? Je me souviens d'une fin comme ça.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine! Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on
Ah oui, c'est ça.
the puzzle still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber,
Voilà, c'est ça. Tout cela ne le concernait plus. J'aime beaucoup cette fin, en fait.
for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking.
Le but de sa quête n'était ni de savoir ni la puissance, mais seulement le
His goal
bonheur.
had not been to understand, but to let go.
Peut-être pas de
No
comprendre, mais
longer
de
would
lâcher
anyone
prise.
tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
C'est vraiment une belle fin. J'aime vraiment beaucoup ça.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Très belle fin. Succès déverrouillé, terminer le jeu. Voilà, donc ça c'est vraiment, théoriquement, c'est vraiment la première fin qu'on est censé faire si on respecte tout ce que dit la voix off à la lettre. Combien il y a de fins? Je crois qu'il y en a une cinquantaine, non? C'est pas ça? On en parlait la dernière fois. Théoriquement, donc là c'est ma quatrième... Attends, ça serait pas mal de mettre dans le titre du stream d'ailleurs. Ah oui, alors attends. La dernière fois on m'a dit de mettre dans le titre du stream... Content warning, ouais c'est ça, apparemment, parce qu'il y a des thématiques qui sont un peu dures. CW, c'est ça? Apparemment le fait d'écrire ça fait que les gens qui savent, ils connaissent. « 42 » Sérieux? Ça serait marrant. Donc là, théoriquement, la dernière fois on a eu 3 fins, donc ça serait la 4e fin. 4 fins débloquées. Voilà, je mets ça dans le titre du stream. Pour skip les passages difficiles. Ouais, mais moi j'ai pas envie. Moi j'ai envie de voir le jeu tel qu'il est vraiment, quoi.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, qu'est-ce que je fais? New content? Allez, vas-y, on se refait une autre fin classique.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Le jeu tourne bien, ça va?
Yet there
lag.
was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Bon, c'est pas un jeu
Stanley
gourmand, de toute façon.
decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Tu fais un reset de tes fins parce que tu en avais déjà débloqué. Non, en fait, c'est vraiment 2 jeux. En fait, c'est 2 jeux séparés avec 2 points exe différents. C'est-à-dire que là, même si j'avais déjà une save d'il y a 4 ans, quand j'ai recommencé le jeu, c'est vraiment, comment dire, un... Ça marche pas, ça? Ouais. C'est vrai. Ah si, ça marche.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Il y a un truc à faire.
There
Donc,
was nothing here. No
là, quand j'ai
choice to make,
recommencé
no path
Stanley
to
Parable
follow,
avec Ultra
just an
Deluxe,
empty broom
il y a
closet.
vraiment tout qui était à 0,
No
quoi.
reason to still be here.
Ouais, voilà, c'est pas un DLC en fait, c'est vraiment un nouveau point exe, quoi.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing...
Sans rien faire, que dalle. Très très drôle ça.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
On va attendre, hein.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here.
Sur Discord? Non, j'ai pas vu Kion.
Stanley walked past the broom closet. At least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this
Pas traverser l'esprit tant ce placard n'a absolument aucune importance dans l'histoire.
story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Bah attends, j'ai le temps de regarder Discord du coup. Qu'est-ce que t'as posté?
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
C'est exactement ce que je vais dire. Non, j'ai pas vu Kion. C'est quoi? C'est dans le saloon que t'as posté un truc?
He probably only got the job because of a family
Je vois pas.
connection. That's how stupid he is.
Oh
That
putain.
or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Addicted to drugs and
Well,
hookers.
I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right
Il y a
now.
2-3 jours? Ah bah attends, j'ai pas
You're
vu.
dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this,
Merci Malibubule
is to
pour le
alert
prime.
someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care
Avant
of.
que la décomposition ne commence.
Pose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human.
Je vois pas Kion, ce que t'as pu poster.
They understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative.
Je scroll mais je trouve pas.
Video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Ah mais putain, mais c'est la moto. Ah putain, je sais, oui, je sais bien, Kion, mais il faut que je trouve une adresse. Je n'ai pas d'adresse à te donner en fait, c'est ça le problème. Faut que je vois avec qui je fais ça. Comment je fais ça en fait. Parce que le problème c'est que les seules personnes que je connais sur Montpellier, c'est des personnes qui non plus n'ont pas envie de donner leur adresse. Normalement, à partir de cet été, j'aurai peut-être une boîte postale, mais c'est même pas sûr. Faut attendre combien de temps pour accéder aux différents channels? Je crois que j'avais dit jusqu'à 2 ans à peu près. Il me semble que j'avais dit ça à peu près. 10 heures de dialogue jusqu'à la fin et rien d'autre. Attends, je vais refermer la porte. Ah, on peut plus la refermer. On peut plus la refermer. Ah si. T'en es à 7 mois et quelques. Oui, mais sachant que j'ai bien écrit que au bout de 2 ans, bah peut-être que vous vous ferez kicker du Discord sans aucune explication et ça sera normal. Hein. Ah oui, c'était toi, Snyler, qui m'avait envoyé la 3DS. Non, 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 c'était une ancienne adresse, ça. Bon, je crois que c'est fini.
Ah, second player. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs.
Ah non, on peut
to his
pas,
boss's
dommage.
office.
Donc le downstairs, on l'a déjà fait. Là, ce que je voulais faire, c'était la fin escape.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it
J'aurais
mean?
peut-être quelque chose à t'envoyer. Bah ouais, mais comme je te dis, là en ce moment, j'ai pas d'adresse à
He
vous donner
began
malheureusement.
wildly tearing through papers on the boss's
Mais
desk.
peut-être à partir de cet
Books
été,
off the
peut-être qu'il y aura une
shelf, Looking
adresse.
behind paintings, desperate for clues
C'est
to
quoi
his
déjà?
situation. but his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it
Oui, le bureau de Monsieur Burns.
In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
En passant par relais colis, ouais, mais je sais pas comment ça marche. J'ai pas le temps de m'en occuper en fait, je suis désolée. Je suis pas comme les autres streamers, les autres streameuses aussi, qui sont persuadés que... enfin, comment dire...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Attendez, j'essaie de formuler une phrase de façon pas trop blessante pour mes autres collègues. Attends, j'y réfléchis, je vous dirai la phrase tout à l'heure. Alors, escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Je crois que c'est ça en plus.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Non, c'est pas du tout ça, Dionysos. Non, c'est juste que moi... quand je vous dis que je passe mes journées entières à travailler de mon lever à mon coucher, c'est vraiment le cas en fait. C'est... J'ai pas de temps libre, moi, si vous voulez, dans la journée. Je me réveille le matin, je suis en nage, je pense au boulot que je fais, que j'ai à faire. Et je fais ça jusqu'à épuisement le soir. Et oui, je sais, c'est absolument... c'est pas une bonne façon de travailler. Mais c'est comme ça que je fais.
He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is.
Donc un truc aussi bête que me renseigner sur le mode de fonctionnement d'un système postal, je suis désolé, j'en ai juste pas le temps en fait. Il faudrait que je puisse payer quelqu'un pour le faire à ma place, mais j'en ai pas le temps. Et pas forcément les moyens non plus.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ok. Ah, y a pas le... Y a pas la catégorie du stream? Bah normalement je l'avais mise, je pourrais pas trop vous dire. Stanley Parable. Modifier les infos. Ah oui, non, effectivement, ça l'a enlevé. Ok. Là, normalement, c'est bon. Ça y est, c'est bon?
It would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Est-ce qu'on peut aller sur la gauche? Ouais, non, on est quand même dans une salle. Twitch qui déconne, ouais, ça arrive. Un des meilleurs jeux que le monde nous ait offert. Ah, c'est un très très bon jeu.
Every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance. Death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now?
C'est marrant.
Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Putain, comment il s'appelle ce jeu? Super Hot. Vous savez, le jeu qui existe en VR, là où tu peux ralentir le temps. En fait, dès que tu marches, ça accélère ou ralentit le temps. Il y a une salle, elle est exactement comme ça. Absolument exactement comme ça. Mais du coup, Super Hot est sorti après le jeu, donc je pense que c'est une référence. Le rythme lors de cette section d'ouverture devait être irréprochable. Ce couloir a été déplacé, modifié afin que le joueur soit sûr d'atteindre les deux portes au bon moment. Ah oui, d'accord, les deux portes qui sont là. Ah oui, ok, plan du bureau. D'accord. Au début de partie, chemin entre le bureau de Stanley et les deux portes. Le tout premier chemin conçu dans le jeu. Des sections ont été ajoutées et modifiées au cours du développement, mais l'organisation générale est restée presque inchangée depuis la première itération. Le petit solitaire là. Employee database. Son de bouton. Mélange le frappe au clavier de tonalité de synthétiseur. D'accord. Pas un truc à faire là? Non. Je cherche s'il n'y a pas des trucs à faire. Fun! Zone de guerre. Au début du développement, nous avons imaginé une fin où Stanley se retrouverait sur un champ de bataille contre un extraterrestre. What? Le jeu développerait sa propre intelligence et partirait en guerre contre le narrateur. Nous avons réalisé que c'était peut-être pousser la blague trop loin. C'était peut-être trop plat par rapport au ton du jeu. Certains l'ont aussi vu qu'une manière de nous moquer les amateurs de jeux de tir, ce qui n'était pas notre but. Ah, ok. Intéressant. Ah, c'est des... Ah oui, d'accord. Email du narrateur. Après la deuxième bande-annonce que nous avons publiée, nous avons demandé aux gens d'envoyer des questions par email au narrateur. Nous comptions nous en servir pour promouvoir encore le jeu, mais nous avons plein de... Ah, d'accord. How do you type with boxing gloves on? Ok, bon, j'ai sûrement moult blagues, mais on va quand même essayer d'avancer un peu. Minuteur de l'appartement. Ok. Ne pas décrocher le téléphone menait à une autre fin. Ah. Le monte charge. De vous proposer de rester ou de sauter vers un autre embranchement. Ah oui, c'est ça. On peut mourir, effectivement. Ok. Putain, mais je savais pas qu'il y avait autant de salles. First choice. Ouais, obéis, désobéis. Ok. Très intéressant. Putain, mais c'est infini en fait. Mais ça, c'est potentiellement du spoil parce que on les a pas encore vus tous ces trucs-là. Publié 4 bandes annonces lors du développement, chacune destinée à dévoiler un peu l'esprit du jeu. En mai 2012, d'accord. Salut Illuvatar. Ok. Hein? C'était quoi? Ah ouais, ok. Alors attends, on est arrivé par où là? Je suis paumé, ça y est. Le bureau 427, il est là. Ah oui, c'est plusieurs versions différentes du bureau 427, ok. Ah oui, exit, ça doit être là.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop them.
Ah oui, on est de retour ici.
Both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you
Je reste dedans, hein.
you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Scrooge. Ok, donc ça c'était une fin en plus. Allez, du coup je mets à jour le titre du stream. 5 fins débloquées. Allez, c'est reparti.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply...
On se fait une des nouveaux contenus pour changer un peu.
You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Là on est mort, ouais. Ah, c'est encore retiré la catégorie? Ah, ça veut dire que c'est un bug de Twitch, ça sert à rien de le refaire.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark.
Ah, c'est quand j'ai édité le titre.
Content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
What?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Hein? Mais attends. Non, c'est quand même pas un vrai 2 en fait. Si c'est le cas, c'est trop drôle.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean?
On sait même pas ce que ça veut dire.
Stanley Parable 2. Now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Ok. J'ai envie de tester toutes les portes, mais bon. On va se contenter d'aller là où il veut qu'on aille. Faire back two doors. More TSP. C'est quoi TSP? The color red. Leverage. Holistic value. Ah, les essais de logo sont pas mal. Ah, mais c'est façon Resident Evil en fait. Là, ça c'est le logo de Resident Evil 7. Ah oui, TSP, Stanley Parable, d'accord, ok. Là, le deuxième, c'est Resident Evil 2. C'est marrant.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
New features. Sacré local en tout cas. Hein. What the fuck? Ah ouais, ok.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Hear your name. Putain, mais c'est quoi cette... c'est quoi la taille de cette salle?
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Ok, nous sommes
I
team.
want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being
On peut pas
heartbroken
recliquer
as
dessus.
Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim... Whoa, hold on.
Vas-y.
I wasn't finished setting up the
Ok,
backstory.
vas-y.
If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button.
Jim Lai.
It's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become
J'ai
Jim.
l'impression que ça va être très très long.
Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night
Oh,
for a
putain.
popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim,
Devenez accro à une substance illégale.
through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Ok.
See? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Ok.
It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this.
Par toute cette validation individuelle. Ok. Je suis Jim, exactement. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On repart alors? Allez, donc c'est vraiment faire des caisses pour pas grand-chose. Hein. Comme à l'E3.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Épilogue.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Bah si, vas-y, dis. Ah, mais si, ça m'intéresse. Finis ta phrase. Il est con. Le trou infini. Ok. Succès gratuit. Trou sans fond. Paramètre champion du monde. Attends, s'il y a un succès gratuit... Free new and easy achievement. I can't believe it's that simple. Get in there. Free achievement. Get your right now. Pull lever. Receive a new achievement. No more steps. It just works. Get yours right now.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will...
Oh non!
Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Ok. Ah, si on va là, non, il n'y a pas un truc à faire. Ça serait marrant qu'on puisse réparer la machine nous-mêmes. En appuyant sur des trucs très spécifiques. Ah, vous pouvez pas faire de clip. Dommage. Too bad. Donc il y avait ça, il y avait le trou infini.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Ah. On est toujours en live ou pas? J'ai eu un écran noir là sur Twitch. Bizarre.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion,
Toujours en live, ouais.
you realize
Ok.
that you knew which one you actually really wanted.
C'est à croire que la connexion,
Happy 12th birthday, step-niece it is.
connexion avec Twitch, ça a pas l'air de très bien se faire. Ok.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Trou sans fond, le jeu qui dit le nom du jeu qui joue au jeu. Ouais, mais ça on a déjà vu. Red is the new orange. Marrant. The button that says team. Putain, le truc ils l'ont changé. Attends, on va aller dans le trou sans fin quand même. Collectible. Après, il y a l'exit qui est là-bas. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Ok. Infinite Hole Chart. Hole Depth. Space. Science. Infinity. More hole. Falling. Just keep going. Putain, c'est tellement drôle.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down.
Ah, c'est des refs à des expos qui existent, ah ouais?
Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Le dessin là, c'est un détecteur du CNR.
Isn't it
Ah ouais.
wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you...
C'est dommage parce que c'est vraiment super sombre. Je trouve ça assez ouf qu'on puisse pas modifier la luminosité quand même.
You've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top and we can continue onward.
Ou pas.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley.
Non, mais c'est même au niveau de la capture, j'ai l'impression que c'est sombre. Non, vous trouvez pas?
Exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. Okay. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Oh!
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole.
Ah, il y a des mégots.
Stanley, I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the
quasi sans fond.
Mostly infinite?
Comment le mug est arrivé en bas intact? Oh, il doit être en PVC, je suppose.
Press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
J'ai tout mon temps. Je vais en profiter pour remercier le grand Bab. Merci pour ton follow. Ainsi que Mariri24. Merci à toi. Calidion également. Damagio. Flops aussi. J'ai tout mon temps. Merci Colrasp, pardon. Alors, est-ce que si on attend 1 minute... Faut attendre un peu quand même. Ah, le clip fonctionne à nouveau? Bon. Pas l'impression qu'il se passe grand chose. Allez.
Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much.
You like holes?
A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this
Effectivement,
time?
ouais.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you
Tout à
did
fait.
before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make
J'ai
an...
pas créé un vrai trou sans fond.
But I didn't think it was that naughty.
Je croyais quand même plus profond que ça.
Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I see.
To become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my
d'accord.
come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not... How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when
Oui,
you're...
sauf que là, on peut pas sauter. Ça marche pas.
Is the, teleport button not working?
Non, c'est la fin.
You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
Il se barre. On l'entend qu'il se barre. C'est quoi le son? Oh! Oh, c'est génial. C'est tellement mystique. Mais quoi? Change votre réalité. What? Mais quoi? C'est génial! Putain!
Stanley?
You're no
Stanley!
longer.
Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Ça va pas le refaire. Ah, donc du coup là c'est la fin? Alors est-ce que c'est considéré comme une fin?
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Je sais pas, on n'a pas eu de... Je serais tenté de penser que c'était considéré comme une des fins. Mais je sais pas. Ok, alors qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas fait? Décoration de bureau, ça on n'a pas fait ça. Attends. C'est une des fins du 2, d'accord. Alors attends, je vais mettre à jour le titre du stream. la 6e fin débloquée. Mostly Infinite Hall. Collectible. On n'est pas allé là-haut. Collect them all.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Oh, c'est tellement creepy. Ce foutage de gueule. C'est tout? Ah oui, c'est tout. Ok.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Alors attends, Jump Circle, on l'a pas fait, enfin pas ici en tout cas. C'était où? Le N. You are here. Bah, le Jump Circle, il est censé être là, non? Ah oui, c'est ça, mais on l'a déjà fait celui-là.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump
Ah oui.
circle? Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Quel dommage. Ok. Stream du chat? Non, le chat du stream a bug. Ah, c'est possible. Mais il y a plein de bugs de Twitch là en ce moment, que ce soit le titre, que ça soit le... que ça soit
Oh,
les clips.
goodness, Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to the bucket exhibit. You see, there's a surprise I was going to
Bucket
spring on you
exhibit, c'est
later,
où ça?
and it involves the bucket. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the bucket, okay? All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
C'est où? L'exposition de Sceaux? Ça on l'a fait, ça on l'a fait, ça on l'a fait. Ça on vient de le faire. Ah, la porte là peut-être? Non. Nos screenshots, ça on l'a fait. Ouais. On arrive par là. Les escaliers? Ah mais oui, juste là, oui. Reassurance Bucket. Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette histoire?
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Donc là, on est censé se sentir rassuré et mieux une fois qu'on l'a dans la main.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that
Préférence au compagnon cube peut-être, ouais, je sais pas trop.
As well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
On peut pas le lâcher en fait. Une fois qu'on l'a dans la main, on peut plus le lâcher.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game?
Donc là du coup je reprends la sortie. Théoriquement j'ai tout fait. Quel jeu absurde. Il n'y a pas de mur, ok. C'est quoi la mallette là? Elle me stresse cette mallette. Pourquoi il y a une mallette ici? L'homme à la mallette.
So Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear how exactly these features will come together.
Oui, c'est pas mal, mais c'est pas non plus.
But I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do
Oh, merci beaucoup, Miss Frange.
these new features together.
Incroyable, salut Miss Frange. J'ai vu que t'étais sur Valorant, je crois. Hein.
Gameplay experience.
Bien, bonjour à toi, bonjour à tes viewers. On est en train de tester la
Here it is.
version ultra deluxe de Stanley Parable, qui est un FPS complètement absurde. Donc là, il y a tout.
I mean, there's
Une
potential.
vraie quiche. Ah ouais.
Sort of. Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
La Frange vaincra. Le bruitage.
Stanley. This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a
J'espère que tu vas bien en tout cas, Miss Frange.
And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own.
Fatigué aussi, ouais. Fatigué aussi, et là j'ai une grosse semaine là qui s'annonce.
Maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it.
Donc pour ceux qui arrivent, si jamais vous connaissez pas le jeu, donc on incarne un employé de bureau qui voit sa vie en fait complètement dictée par une voix off de narration qui dicte tout ce qu'on est en train de faire. Donc libre à nous des fois d'écouter ce que dit la voix off ou pas. Et en fait il y a une espèce de quatrième mur qui est constamment brisé avec cette voix off qui s'adresse à nous en tant que joueurs encore plus qu'en tant que personnage dans le jeu.
Take a look.
C'est vraiment très absurde hein, comme jeu. Donc là, potentiellement, on a Stanley Parable 2 qui commence, qui est donc potentiellement un jeu dans le jeu ou une version dérivée de l'Ultra Deluxe, qui est la version 1.5. Est-ce qu'on peut dire qu'on vient de faire une fin? Je ne sais même pas. Merci beaucoup pour le raid également. Merci Arline Fay pour ton raid. Et bien bienvenue, on vient de commencer Stanley Parable 2, hein, qui comme chacun le sait est en train de sortir. Je veux dire qu'on a débloqué la 7ème fin, même si en vrai je ne sais pas trop. On peut dire que c'est une fin, ouais je pense. Hein. Ok. C'est parti. Donc bienvenue dans le royaume de l'absurde et de l'humour.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room for...
Donc là pour l'instant c'est le même introduction que tout à l'heure.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up.
Ah oui,
to
des ballons
give
bleus, du coup,
instructions,
partout.
call a meeting, or even say,
C'est le seul truc qui a changé.
never in all his years at the company had this happened. This
En fait, ce qui serait drôle, ça serait que la totalité des éléments qu'on a vus
very clearly wrong.
dans le prélude de Stanley Parable 2
Frozen solid, Stanley found
soient
himself
tous
unable
parfaitement
to move for the
utilisés
longest
dans ce qu'on s'apprête à faire.
But as he came to his wits,
Si c'est le cas, c'est
and
génial.
his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok, donc là pour l'instant, là dans le bureau il n'y a rien de spécial. Donc là on voit bien effectivement qu'il y a pas mal
All
de
of his
ballons.
coworkers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Le level
decided
design
to go to the meeting
est
room.
exactement le
Perhaps
même.
it's
Ah, il y a le
a
seau.
memo. Stanley picked up the bucket.
On est obligé de le prendre. Je sais pas ce qu'on va en faire mais on l'a. C'est vrai qu'il y a eu le skip aussi, oui.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Allez, vas-y, go.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You
Ah,
feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy.
l'aura de la
Say,
jalousie.
this broom closet believes it deserves the bucket.
Ce-
I can really feel it now.
Ok.
It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the
Broom
other
closet.
cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now.
De toute façon, on peut pas le relaisser.
This
On
is
peut
your
pas le laisser
bucket.
au sol.
This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty
Un flot d'insultes
simply in
mesquines,
order
mais
to
pas
get
du
you
tout.
to hand over-
Absolument personne.
Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the
Attends
broom
qu'ils aient
closet
fini.
off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Ok.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will
Ah.
help settle this debate once and for all. Here we
Okay.
go. There.
Ah,
Now it's
le
settled.
sticker.
No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes
Diatribe
about the nature of
philosophique
cleaning
digressive
supplies
sur la nature
and
du
their
matériel.
relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Ok.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
C'est bon.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your
Putain, mais
kinship.
quel enfer!
The broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment, and to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Ce qui est terrible, c'est que je sais pas si vraiment je peux me permettre de partir. On va dire que si. Allez.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ah. Attendez, il y a des lags. Tiens, et d'ailleurs, ça mène où? Executive bathroom. On n'y est pas encore allé ici. Putain. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley.
Il a l'air tellement
Remember,
triste.
No reward for
Il n'y a aucune récompense à la clé.
only the intrinsic pleasure.
Merci Clemdut pour le prime.
You can't buy that.
Merci beaucoup pour le soutien, c'est très gentil.
God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Extreme bathroom. Ok. Il n'y a vraiment rien à faire. Hein. Et là, ça mène où? On peut toujours pas y aller. C'est quoi, 2501?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
Non.
Even now, in his darkest of hours, the bucket's
2845?
warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket...
Est-ce que le saut le guidait?
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
C'est sûrement la seule explication logique. Oh, figurine.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine.
Stanlerine. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec ce saut, bordel?
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
Ce qui est bien, c'est qu'en fait,
All Stanley could do to keep
quelle
himself
que soit la partie que tu fais sur Stanley Parable, tu n'as aucune idée, aucun moyen de savoir dans quelle direction le jeu va t'emmener.
In this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Je pense que ça vaut le coup qu'on retente.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Si c'est vraiment tout pareil, ça serait vraiment bizarre.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket.
Ah non, les deux derniers interrupteurs, c'était oui ou
Everyone in
non.
the office was
On n'aura qu'à
being
mettre non.
videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first
Oui,
place?
c'était on ou off.
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Moi j'avais mis off.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't
Cria-t-il dans le seau.
his own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter.
Ah, le chat au-dessus de la cam est freeze.
In the entire
Ah oui, c'est vrai ça.
At this point, he could try.
Attends. Ah oui, vous avez totalement raison. Depuis combien de temps il est freeze? Eh ben, je ne sais pas. Chat. Depuis 10 minutes? Ok. Rafraîchir le cache. Allez-y, tapez des trucs là. Ah bah il marche plus du tout. Ah si, test. Ouais, c'est bon, c'est bon. Ok, c'est good.
Trust no one except for the bucket.
Alors, là on retombe sur la salle de contrôle.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold
Là on va
reality
essayer
of his past
l'autre
began to
bouton.
sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on
Ah
the
oui, il y a tout qui
controls.
explose.
Stanley gasped in horror.
Il n'y a pas une fin où il y a le feu dans la salle de contrôle aussi, mais c'est peut-être celle-là,
To
remarque.
take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him?
Comment le saut a pu le trahir?
Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly,
Tout à l'heure j'ai mis off.
on the enormous screen, birds, silly birds.
Silly birds.
The control buttons became
On se croirait dans les Monty Python.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise.
Le contrôle mental n'était qu'une couverture destinée à cacher le véritable objectif. Le saut était-il au
Stanley
courant?
marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed
Oh la
towards this
vache.
incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this
Pourquoi stupide?
was surely the best.
Pourquoi pas?
And Stanley was happy.
Stanley was happy. C'est la fin du coup? Eh oui, du coup c'est une nouvelle fin. Ok. Bien, nous sommes donc à 8 fins débloquées. Quel jeu de ouf. Allez, c'est reparti.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Figurine Finder
He
Committee.
simply missed a memo.
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On reprend le saut alors ou pas? Peut-être pas. Oh, on peut, hein.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Qu'est-ce qu'on... Le but du stream, c'est de faire toutes les fins? Non, le but du stream, c'est de jouer au jeu. Je sais pas trop jusqu'où on va aller, mais... Ah! There will be a reward for finding them all. Tiens. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Something both red and blue. D'accord. Chose de complétionniste instinct. Ah, il y a des indices. Follow clues provided by employee 416. Red Room. Red Room, donc ça doit être le garage, puisqu'il y a des briques rouges. Mais Maybe we are the collectibles. Difficulty finding.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers.
Peut-être qu'en bas...
Staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Tiens. Red Room.
Okay, I'm going back
J'en
to
étais
the
sûre.
name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies.
Figlace. Figlace, c'est pas mal.
What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On y va ou... Parce que là, je vais avoir à nouveau la fin où on tourne en rond. C'est pas la plus passionnante. Ceci dit, il y a peut-être une figurine là-bas.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing
Ça
his
vaut le coup qu'on
boss,
check juste pour voir s'il y a une
admitting he had left
figurine.
his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was...
Ah ouais, non, ça va être la même fin du coup.
Something occurred to Stanley.
Je
Maybe
voulais vérifier pour être sûr qu'il n'y ait pas de figurine ici en fait.
I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arm.
Et là du coup, on peut pas le passer ça.
Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
Ah oui, sauf que le dialogue est adapté avec le bucket.
Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
Donc non, c'est pas la même fin.
I end up with someone else's bucket. This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Ah, il y a des buckets partout.
He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next.
Non.
None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
Non.
To find the bucket, he had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Ah, trop bien. Trop bien le fait que ça soit
This is the
adapté.
story of a woman named Mariella.
Ah oui, parce que c'est la fin où elle le retrouve.
A day like any other. She arose,
Ah, c'est incroyable.
picked up her bucket,
J'adore cette fin d'ailleurs.
security, and walked to her place of work.
Ah, du coup, c'est Mariella qui récupère le seau.
Her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who would
Elle va toujours pas aider Stanley, qui est mort,
to himself, and
mais
then
elle récupère le
dead
seau.
on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Très 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 cool. Et on est reparti. Alors, donc je vais mettre à jour le titre du stream. 9 fins débloquées et je vais faire une petite pause avant de recommencer. Quelle heure il est alors? 13h40. Il faut que j'arrête à 16h parce que j'ai mon rendez-vous tout à l'heure. Ok, bah écoutez, on s'arrête là pour l'instant. 9 fins débloquées. Quel jeu incroyable! Quel jeu absolument incroyable! C'est vraiment trop bien. À bientôt YouTube, c'est la fin de cette VOD. À bientôt pour la partie 3.